Hey, it's Mina. Welcome to the 10X Vision Show, where I interview former executive turned entrepreneur and other inspiring guests who take charge to build their own freedom paths. Together with my guests and through their stories, we'll show you how to design your own path to create the life you want and build the business you desire. Join the conversation. Today, my guest is Laurie Wright, former executive director, then VP of AOL, turned entrepreneur. Now, Laurie is a virtual fitness and health coach, and she has built up user base up to 20,000. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to have you on this show.
Uh-huh.
Tell us, what do you do and who do you serve?
So I started as an entrepreneur in the health and fitness space. I've kind of expanded more into personal development because in the health and fitness world, I found that a lot of people needed more work on the inside to get the work and the results they wanted on the outside. And I have a real passion because I've always been a big self-help book fanatic. And so I kind of morphed, which I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs do as they go through their journey, they get more specialized. So I serve empty nesters and I help them find their suppressed passions, is what I like to say. So a lot of empty nesters, when their kids leave, they wonder what's next in life. Like, you know, they've put so much heart and soul into raising their children, even if they worked like me and was a corporate person. Being a mom was like my favorite thing that I did. And so when they left, and it was kind of like rediscovering yourself. And so I feel like my experience can help other people because I made some major changes in my life. And so my course is kind of a culmination of that.
Wonderful. Tell me, what led you to where you are today and why you're at where you're today? You already mentioned a little bit. Perhaps we can go a little bit deeper into that.
Sure. So, and again, this is all a journey, and I think you figure it out as you go. My background, I tend to be a workaholic, and I think for those of you out there who are workaholics, I think being a workaholic is hiding from something you don't want to really realize. And so I think I did what my parents said you should do. You should make money. I wanted to be a social worker, honestly. They said, you won't make any money doing that. So from a very young age, I wanted to help and serve people. But I fell into the corporate world. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just got a job as a receptionist and I started working my way up. I had writing skills. I always did really well in English. And so I ended up getting a technical writing job as I was moving up. And I actually started at AOL as a technical writer. So, but what happens is you continue to do what I think your brain tells you to do and not what your heart tells you to do. And so through the years, I followed my brain and I married who my brain told me to. I didn't follow my heart. So my mission is to help people with heart-centered goals and purpose. And so I started, and it was all kind of an accident. I was still doing the job that my brain told me to do, and an opportunity came up to be a coach in a network marketing company. And so I only did that because A, I got a discount, and B, because I like to work out and be healthy. And so it was an easy way for me to do that. And so I started doing something that I actually really loved and I saw that I could make money doing. And so it was kind of an accidental entrepreneurship journey. So, and then as I started to see the potential, I started to see, hey, I could retire from my corporate job early. And then I started to say, hey, like, I really love this. I don't ever want to retire. And so I think when I started to realize how I could make my own way, I felt like I could, this is actually going to lengthen my life. Doing what you love never feels like work. And therefore, you never want to retire. So when somebody says to me they want to retire, it kind of makes me feel like, I want to help you not retire, because I know there's something in you that you'll love to do, and it will make you want. I mean, I feel like now I'm going to live past 100 because I have so much to do and so many people to serve. So it was kind of an accidental journey, which sometimes happens. It wasn't an on purpose journey.
Sometimes those are the best. What do you call that? Serendipity. When it presents itself, you just open your heart for it at the right time.
And I think women in particular who, and I coming from the corporate world, and as a VP at AOL, which was just honestly just because I was rewarded for work that I did that was quality work, but I was often the only woman in the room, and I think that I never saw myself as the CEO. You know, I always thought, oh, that's a man's job, or that's something that those people with all those degrees, because frankly, I left college in my 3rd year and I didn't finish. So I don't even have a college degree. So I think, you know, our mindset always says, oh, well, you don't have the degrees, you don't have the certifications. And so that holds us back, when in fact, you know, you realize nowadays there's so much opportunity, and it's the sky's the limit, and doesn't require any like special certifications or any special degrees.
That's true. Sometimes sometimes maybe too many degrees or too many credentials, like me, it actually hinder my journey onto the entrepreneurship, because we tend to like operate from our head, and we overthink everything, and we want to look good among our peers. We want everything to be perfect, then we get nothing done.
Right.
In the corporate world, you have the structure, you have a team to help build the things, so it's easy, you just execute. But then when we become entrepreneur, when you overthink, nothing moves. So that's very good advice for all the people who are like overthinking and keep thinking, should they get out a degree if they want to change their career? Explore other options first. What I call those options, minimum viable options, MOV. Do the MOV first. As an executive and leader in both startup and major corporations, you know a lot about building teams and leadership. So let's talk a little bit about leadership. What's leadership to you, and how do you lead?
I think that to me, the most important thing with leadership is leading by example. So never ask your team to do something that you wouldn't do first. I mean, I think you see that in the military, you know, the person who charges out first. So I think that is leadership. And I think believing, and this is true in entrepreneurship as well, but belief in your team, belief that, I mean, one thing that I learned very early on as I grew up in the management ranks was don't micromanage your people. If you want an unhappy person, micromanage them. So you have to believe, and for people who are perfectionists, which I call myself a recovering perfectionist, it's very hard to delegate because you don't think somebody else is going to do it better. But that was one of the best things for me in my corporate managerial journey, is that I learned to let go of a lot of things. And I found people that actually did things better than me. And so that was a really great experience. So leadership to me is you know, leading by example and believing in your team and hands off. You know, and that's where belief comes in. You know, you take your hands off the wheel when you trust that your team can take over. So those are, I would say, the key things for me.
True, we need more leaders like that in the workplace. According to Gallup poll, 70 to 80% of people working in the jobs are unhappy or disengaged. I think that has a lot to do with the leadership and how people like to micromanage.
Yeah.
So what challenges did you face when you follow your own path and do something on your own terms?
So I think understanding it's a long game, because particularly when I started in network marketing, which I'm not doing anymore, but it was a great stepping stone. But just having the patience to know that it takes time. It takes time to learn. It takes time to grow, particularly if you're growing an online business. It's not going to happen overnight. I guess in a situation where you might get a viral video, but if you have a viral video, you know, you got to have the backing behind it. And a lot of times, you know, that growth journey is just you gaining confidence in your message and what you're saying. I think also the long game, you start to, like, for a long time, I didn't kind of know what I wanted to specialize in and who I wanted to serve. And, you know, so, you know, it just takes time to kind of like really start to have that evolve into something that you're more sure about. And then I think support is key. So I think people have heard this, the saying, which I love, is you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. But, and I'm very good about spending time with people that kind of are smarter than me and lift me up. And I feel like, gosh, I can learn from them because everybody's a teacher. But I delayed in finding a mentor, a personal coach, like a business coach. And the value of that is like, that will 10x your business. And so that would just be one of my suggestions to anybody who's thinking about getting into, I mean, you can start by following different podcasts, and you can then start, you know, there's some people that you'll instantly like, and there's some people that you're like, they're not kind of my cup of tea. But I think investing in a coach who has the experience of what I want to build is super important. So it's your support system, peer-wise, and also from a mentorship standpoint.
That's so true, because when we think we're coming out from the corporate world with our leadership ability, we thought we got it. Especially for me, I had I have the business school background, so I thought I got it all pat down. But it's a very humble experience, saying the least, because we have to unlearn a lot of bad habits when we're in the corporate world to think a different way. And as an entrepreneur, we have to think differently. So yeah, that's true. I start to also listen to many podcasts, and thank goodness I have good mentor. Now I'm also mentoring other business people or aspiring entrepreneurs. So it's quite rewarding that it all come to where we are today.
Yeah.
So how has your corporate experience help you build your own business? We talk about sometimes it hinders us. There must be parts that you can bring in that will help you.
Yeah, I think I was exposed to a lot of different types of leaders. So I learned what a good leader was, and what a good, what I liked and what I didn't like. And I think I'm pretty normal, so what probably most people liked and didn't like. I also, I think I gained a lot of confidence because I worked in a lot of startups, and when you do that, you wear a lot of hats, and so you have to figure things out. So I realized my kind of, zone of genius, so to speak. So I think that in the corporate world, I also learned a lot about kind of real business. I didn't know anything about stock when I started at AOL. So learning about kind of, how stock works and how stock grants and how, the company had just gone public and then merged with Time Warner later. So I was exposed a lot to kind of how businesses grow and how that works.
Beautiful. Now you can take someone from brand new all the way to a major corporation. So between where you were as a corporate leader to where you want to go, there's also a huge gap. We already talked a little bit about it. Could you tell us a little bit more of what's the process you use to close the gap?
So, I mean, I think I touched on this. I kind of fell into my entrepreneurship journey because I just was doing something I loved, and it turned out that I could make money doing it. And so I never, it's funny too, because back up a little bit, when I was working at AOL, and I had a lot of income and stock from AOL, I decided that I wanted to look into a franchise. So I looked at a couple of different franchises. I haven't talked about this. This is kind of funny. So one of the franchises was, I forget what it was. Oh, well, it's called My Girlfriend's Kitchen. And what it was, I don't know if you've heard of these dinner by design. You would go in and they did kind of dinners, but they were kind of already, the menus were already prepared for you. So you would go in and you kind of put them together, and then you'd stick them in your freezer. So there was a big rage back in, probably the late 90s of that kind of business. And it was very short-lived, so I'm glad I didn't invest in it. But I actually flew to the franchise operations in Utah and was a serious, like, almost, bought a franchise. And I'm glad I didn't, because it would have not worked. That's a lot of money to put into a franchise, a minimum of like $100,000. And then you've got to hire a team, and you've got to find a brick and mortar place to put your business. And then the second thing was actually a mobile grooming business for dogs. And I've always loved dogs. And so I thought that would be fun. That was an Australian company based out of California. They were expanding into the US. They had started in Australia. Was very serious about that. And so I had like done my research into like being my own business owner, but those were huge investments that I was too scared, honestly, to make. And so I guess there was this little piece of me that kind of knew inside I wanted to do something. And then when this network marketing thing came in, it was like very minimal buy-in. I mean, you just basically buy your fitness workouts, and you just get to work. And so helping people, it was just helping people. I felt so good. I had this major transformation at age 55. And I just felt like I did my first pull-up I've ever done in my life, which I could never do when I was a kid, because they had that in the US, they have this thing called the Presidential Fitness Award. And it's like a test you do when you're in physical education, when you're in elementary school, maybe in middle school too. But I could never hold myself up with my arms. And so like at age 55, I had just turned age 55, and I was doing this workout, and I did my first pull-up. And I tell you, if anything in my journey, that showed me that anything's possible, because I never in a million years thought I could do a pull-up. And when I did that pull-up, I like ran around my house screaming. And I wanted other women to feel like that. I wanted to help people know that you can get in the best shape of your life post-menopause with it like hot flashes flaring. And so that was kind of like, and then that just kind of kept me going and wanting to explore more, and taking more online courses, and taking more risk with, investment, going to conferences, meeting people. So it was a big gap, I guess, because, I left AOL, it was 2006. And I didn't start really my entrepreneurial journey until 2000 and late 13, early 14. And so it's just, an exploration. And I don't think we ever get to that destination. I think it's just a continuation, it's where it is now, but it's not where it's going to be in 5 years, 10 years. So yeah, so that's kind of how I kind of crossed the gap, if you will. Was that kind of what you were looking for?
Yeah, because a lot of us coming from the corporate world, especially with my own experience, that's how I think, because we thought you just, especially with the media nowadays, just highlight the most overnight sensations. Everyone thought all you need is a brilliant idea. And you become famous overnight. That's it. Mm-hmm. They never thought there's a huge gap there. You learn and you evolve, and then be open to opportunities, as well as like having the disciplines to do a long game.
Right.
Instead of thinking it will be overnight, or If they think it's long game, then they're afraid to take any action. That could be something that holding people back as well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you brought up also about the money is so many people came to me and then they say, I want to start my own business. My first question usually is, oh, what's stopping you? And their first answer, money and time. And now you just mentioned it's never about money. It's never about time. Actually, if you have too much money, for sure you waste it. Like, for example, if you invest in those two that you mentioned, you might not have lost the money already. So it's good to have smaller capitals to start with, and then think about long game, as you said.
Yeah.
That's quite valuable for anyone who's even remotely thinking about that. For your work with the startups, what did you learn and what did you observe there?
I think with startups, what you learn is that there's not a lot of structure usually, what I learned about myself is that I'm good at putting structure in it. I'm very good at taking something that's unstructured and putting structure around it. So I really like startups because I feel like I can really provide value with putting pieces together. So I think with a startup, you get to play a lot of different roles. There's an opportunity for you to jump in anywhere. And so there's also an opportunity for you to move up with the success of the company. And you also really get to know people. You know, you get to know the CEO, you get to know the people that, you know, are all involved in growing the company. And there's really a sense of excitement and optimism. The larger a company gets, the more difficult. It's like turning the Titanic, you know. That's probably a bad analogy because the Titanic sunk, but it's like trying to turn a big ship versus like a little speedboat. And then there's so too much process. I used to say I put in enough process to make it like so you don't waste time. Then there becomes too much process, which becomes a time suck. So there's this like happy medium. And so I think that, you know, startups are a lot more fun because you have a lot more flexibility in that. So, but there's advantages to big corporate companies too, benefits and things like that.
True, you have a big support team, you get things done.
Yeah.
I love the article you wrote about there's no accident in life.
Yeah.
For those unhappy souls who stuck in the workday these nights, what advice would you give them to get going, to follow their dreams and to start their own path?
I think what stops a lot of people is the unknown. They think, I don't even know where to begin. And so one thing that's really helped me is adding meditation into my life. And it doesn't have to be complicated because I do a guided meditation using the Calm app. So if anybody doesn't know that, I would highly recommend it, because I think when you quiet your mind, it opens up your brain, it opens up a door to your subconscious, and that's where your heart is. So that's for people who don't even know where to begin. And I would say look back into your childhood, what you love to do. What are things that, like, the dreams you had? Because a lot of times we just suppress those and we just move forward. And then the money thing is always a big issue for people because they say, I can't afford it. But the question becomes more of a cost. Like, are you willing to spend the rest of your life doing what you don't love, or invest in your life and do what you want to? And so what is it? Is it money, or is it really cost? It's the cost of not doing it, to me. And I say to my husband, I would live in a trailer, like a motorhome. I would live in a motorhome and just like live from there to do what I wanted to do, because it's the work and it's the value it is to your life, So, and if you love what you do, the money will come. You have to think abundantly, not scarcity. So, and then there's a whole, like another subject on the law of attraction and the 12 as I spit, the 12 universal laws. I get excited about them, but yes, if you put in your mind an idea like scarcity, that's what the universe will bring to you. But if you put into your mind abundance and it will all work out, that's what the universe will bring to you. So it's hard. It's hard to do that, but there's a lot of things that if I would suggest people look into the 12 laws, universal laws, and start to learn about them, because it helps when you start getting scared about living outside of your comfort zone, doing something that you've never done before, making an investment in something that you're not 100% sure about. Those laws will help you, and they'll help you feel more secure. And they'll help you understand that if you follow your heart and you're doing what your heart's telling you, then it will be fine in the end.
True. Following your hearts. That's a lot of us try to suppress, especially in the corporate world. You try to be not emotional. So the hard part is like put away, or your word suppress, and then we just use our brain and ego
Yeah.
to make things work.
Yeah.
And become very unhappy even with the money. That's surprisingly true. I love what you said about even living in China and do what you love. Wish I knew about that years ago. I would have got out from my corporate world or corporate job a lot faster than what it actually happened. But we're at where we are today. So I'm still grateful to meet amazing entrepreneurs like you. So in life, for the ambitious few, the only constant is change, like we have just said it. Where do you want to go from here?
So I have great aspirations, and one of my struggles is that I try to do too much at once, and I try to, like, I have all these ideas and I want to implement them all. So one of the longer term visions I have is I want to write a book. So I actually have 2 book ideas now. I had one, but now I have 2, and then I want to start a podcast. So my 2020 plan is to start a podcast next year, and then maybe start to work on one of my books next year. So very excited about that. One of my books, I want to be case studies from the people I work with. And then the other one is I have a real passion about rekindling love after 50, because I have, my second husband was my college sweetheart, and that's a whole nother video, but that's heart suppression. That's when the good example of me not following my heart. So that was that's a book that I want to. But again, that I want to do stories, kind of in the chicken soup for the soul kind of fashion, about people who have rekindling stories.
It's quite interesting. There must be some technical thing. I don't see myself on the right screen of the B knife. That's scary, huh? Well, I hope I can convert that into a podcast if it doesn't work out. So that's so strange. I never know what's going on with the B knife and the podcast or the video things on that tiny screen. It shouldn't be the internet, because we can still talk.
Yeah.
So must be something else. That's interesting. Let me see. Yep, I am completely gone for that. That's amazing. Huh. Interesting. All right, let's continue. So what do you like the best about being in business for yourself, and what keep you going?
So I think the two things that came to mind when I was looking at your questions was, number one was passion, because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, and I just feel like I'm on a mission, and I don't want to stop. So passion, number one. And I haven't had a passion like this, in my corporate world. And so that makes me really, really happy. And I get so excited I don't even want to go to bed at night. That's how bad it is. I mean, it's how passionate I am about what I'm doing. And the other thing is the freedom that it brings, because you can just do anything and go anywhere. We come from a time when you had to be in the office. You couldn't be like, I remember punching cards for the computer. I remember when, like, days before, my first laptop, which wasn't even really a laptop, a portable computer, was this like 25-pound rock that I remember carrying through the Chicago airport. And we actually had two, and it was another girl and I, and we were on a business trip. She was a software developer, and we had gone and we had taken our portable computers, and we had our luggage, and we had our and luggage back in the day wasn't as great as it is now. And I had to walk walk a few feet, put the portable computer down, walk back, get the other one, walk back, walk back, walk back. That's how horrible it was in the old days. And so we can take our little skinny laptops or our iPads anywhere and do anything. And it's just an example is I am getting ready to launch my course next week. I'm doing my second launch, and my daughter's having her fourth baby. And so I'm driving to her house, but it doesn't matter because I have my computer with me and I can do what I need to do anywhere. And it makes it so amazing to be able to spend more time. My husband, who, we lost a lot of years together because we weren't, 27 years we're apart. And so he has a very flexible business. So for me, freedom means time with him too, that we can spend together. So passion and freedom. Those are
the two best things in life.
Yeah.
What's your daily practice that make you successful in terms of your health, wealth, and happiness?
Okay, so I was raised by a mother who, she used to always say to me, make lemonade from lemons. If you get handed lemons, make lemonade. I got so tired of hearing that, but you know what? It stuck with me, and I have carried that forward. So I always think, every morning I get up, I call it now my morning mojo routine, my morning mojo mindset. So I spend about 30 minutes doing specific practices that include, I write, I have a gratitude journal. I have recorded affirmations and visions. So I listen to those. I do a 10-minute meditation. And I also, I do this during the day, sometimes in the morning, sometimes later, but I always do something that I grow with, whether it's reading a chapter from a book or listening to a podcast. So that's part of my daily activity. And then I try to exercise as well. So I spend 30 minutes doing some form of exercise, usually. I did it today. I'm not 100% consistent, but I mean, it just makes you feel better. It's just those endorphins. So, but I probably work out 5 days a week out of the 7. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Same. I think exercise is important. I also do morning walks.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us who are on this entrepreneur journey are quite disciplined about getting up early, spend time with ourselves so we can be creative. And when we're presenting ourselves or show up, we can be have so much energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's studies that say being in nature is actually, it's very, very good for you. So, and that helps actually too with endorphins. So if you combine exercise and nature, then that's like a double endorphin.
Oh, I should go hiking more often then.
Yeah. In fact, I think there's grass therapy, like where they have people like walk in grass. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
grass.
yeah.
Just that simple. Okay. I have a lot of grass areas around where I live, so that will be easy.
Yeah.
Going into the wood will be a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Still, for me, a little bit is probably anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. So 30 minutes, I can actually get into the wood quite easily. No complaint there. Where can people find you online?
So I have a website, notyouraveragegrandma.com. So I've had that for a while. I actually just transitioned it over to a different platform, and it's pretty simple and short and sweet. So I blog. So I took some time off from blogging and I just restarted, and I love it. I love writing. And so that's mostly what I use my website for. I also actually have a workbook too. I call it it's a 5-day action plan to raise your happy meter. And I call it my positivity playbook. So if anybody's interested they can go to my website and download that, my positivity playbook.
That's wonderful. Anything else you would like to share with our audience before we wrap up today?
I think I just want to speak to people that are in the middle of their life. And I want to say that you're never too old to dream a new dream. There are so many examples of people who started very late in life. And I love to use Grandma Moses as an example. She didn't start painting until she was 76, and she only started painting because she got arthritis and she couldn't crochet anymore. And she painted for 25 years, and how well known she is. And I think about that, and she's 76 and I'm 60. So I'm like, I have 16 years to catch up to Grandma Moses, to where she started. So I just think there's so much opportunity in this day and age that you can do what you love, and you can do it without a huge investment like it costs to start a franchise or to do something, on a larger scale. And there's also a lot of opportunity to like just experiment and learn, just try stuff. And so lots of, I also I'm running a challenge right now. And one of the challenge, somebody was, I'm asking people to dream again. And today I asked them, pick one thing, one action that you're going to perform that's intentional, that aligns with the dream that you shared earlier in the week. And one person said she's all excited because she's going to go back to college. She's going to sign up for school to finish her degree. And I encouraged her to look at all the options, because there's so much online, and you don't have to go to a school, you don't have to take English 101. You can start where you want to start. And I think that you get there faster, and you won't have to pay for a degree. So,
That's true. A degree is, I think, I'm in school for probably too long. Not that I don't appreciate it. I appreciate everything I learned. It helped me with critical thinking, helped me to build the dreams for others. It trained us to be part of the corporations. So it worked well. But for people who want to build their own path and follow their dream, university might not be the best.
Right.
Unless you are learning computer science, computer programming, and you're going to a school where there's amazing network.
Right.
That Stanford, if you have that kind of resources and then 200,000-300,000 to build that career again, yes, go for it. But there's so many other options nowadays that people can just start with very simple things, and they can even build a business that they can never be dream of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, I know people who are there's a lot of PhDs, they did extremely well. And I also know some billionaires that didn't have any degrees.
Right.
And now they are investors. So they do well as well. The way they think, they didn't stop learning. That's it. For people who stop with high school or college, they keep learning. But for us who graduate from university, we have that mentality that we are done.
Yeah.
We stop learning. Well, we occasionally learn what we need to learn to climb up the corporate world, but not the way we need to learn to be an entrepreneur. So that's very important of like exploring other options.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking a degree because my two daughters, I wanted them to get college degrees, so they both did. But when you're 60 years old and you're thinking, I want to start a business, that's 4-year degree, and then what if you don't like it, and then you have this big debt, and so hey, let's try it and do something maybe online first and dabble, and then see there's options. I'm just saying there's options.
True. University has a lot of support there as well. So if people enjoy learning and they have the time and the money, go for it. And what's your vision for both of your business and for the world?
So I particularly like this question because I think, we all have a purpose, and I think it's serving the world in some way, shape, or form, whatever that is. And you just have to find that zone of genius that's yours, because we all have it. We just don't think, we just suppress it, and we just are afraid to shine. So I feel, one of the people I follow is Mel Abraham, and I love Mel because he wants to create an army of difference makers. And when I heard him say that, I was like, that is a really cool thing to do. Army of difference makers. And it's funny because my LLC is not your average army. So isn't that funny that I already have Army in my company name, which, I created like 3 years ago. So in answer to that question is I want to create an army of mojo makers, because I'm all about mojo, and my course is about making mojo and making the rest your best, but it's mojo makers. And I have a mojo makers free community. And for the world, when you find your mojo, and when you feel really excited about life, you spread that. That's like contagious. The people around you are happier. The strangers that you come across are happier. I know, like me, I have no more aggressive driving. I used to live in the DC area. I have no more, like when somebody cuts me off, I'm like, that's okay. And it's so funny because we all have that within us to be that way. And particularly in this political climate we have today, both sides. And it's just so wrong. And I want to build a world that is much more positive. That's what I want.
That's true. With the media and the news, everyone's feeding with so much negativity.
Yeah. I don't even like watching it anymore. It's just not a good, healthy thing for my mind.
True. I remember I used to watch news when I was in the corporate world every day because I thought I need to be up to date with the world. But then I think, no, that's their world. That's not my world, because it's all very controlled. Like the media now is all negative. It's not the world. It's not a well representation.
Yeah.
So I even invest in companies or journalism that is more true to what the world is, instead of being so biased nowadays.
Yeah, I'm surrounded right now, as I'm sure you are, by people who are living out their passions through entrepreneurship. And that is so cool. I mean, to be among people like that who really have decided that they're going to go for it and make a difference, that's who I want to be around. Turn off the news and go turn on my Facebook feed where all my positive people are. So
True. And also, being positive is a daily practice.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, oh, I'm so tired of, don't give me that all positive, your life will get better. Then I'm asking, are you actually being positive if you're questioning it?
Yeah.
That's so funny. On one hand, we try to think being positive. On the other hand, we have, I think it's by nature, we keep questioning ourselves. So it's the way how we push, like the thought will come up, you just push it away. It doesn't mean that you have to completely kill your negative thoughts because it will come up. But as soon as it comes up, you just say, well, I don't need you now, thank you.
Yeah.
And then keep yourself like being positive, being energetic, and surround yourself, like you said, in the right community. That's very important.
Yeah.
And turn off the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And only select things that you would like to watch.
Right.
So let me close by saying thank you for this great conversation, Laurie. For those of you, if you're watching this video, let us know your comments. Until next time, set intention, take action, dream big, start small. And hope to talk soon and get update from you, Laurie. And we'll end this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. For the second half, actually, you're the main theme on the interview because for some reason my screen was black. So let's end the video now.